Joe Alterman brings a joyful spirit to jazz that's infectious, described by Ramsey Lewis as playing happy music with tasty meat on the bones. His sound is rooted in the blues with a style reminiscent to the great pianists of the 1950s. With degrees from NYU, Joe's performed everywhere from the Kennedy Center to Birdland alongside legends like Les McCann and Houston Person. He also writes beautifully about jazz. His work's been praised by Nat Hentoff, and we're excited to have Joe here today and talk about his unique perspective on this music. Joe, good to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Joe, let's we met quite a while back in the controversial University of New York University, right?
We did. It's been about 18 years. I think so. I
Yeah,
was,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So a lot's happened in your career. I know in recent years you moved down to Georgia, but you spent a long time in New York City.
Yeah.
You've performed with so many people. I know you've gotten the chance to perform with, you know, like Houston Person, who I just named, and done great clubs, festivals. So what are you most grateful for, looking back now on your career?
Man, that's a great question. It's there's just so many things that the love of music just brought into my life. And it's not just music. I mean, like, I feel like every person in my life is here because I love the piano. And um, I think, I mean, for me, like, I grew up when I was in Atlanta, like, I grew up in Atlanta. So then I moved to New York and I moved back to Atlanta a few years ago. And growing up in Atlanta, like, um, I used to suffer from bad obsessive compulsive disorder. And piano was always like the place where I could, like for a while, I didn't like telling my friends what I was dealing with in like early high school. So I'd be at school suffering from that, but also, you know, being exhausted from not telling my friends what I was dealing with. So I'd come home at the end of the day and just run to the piano. And the piano is like, has always, at least since then, it's always been like the place where I can like always be me. And, to just have that, it's something where you can go and always feel at home, feel like yourself. And not to mention all the amazing things it's brought to my life, like people and, so I just, it's like everything. It's like made my life what it is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and just you mentioned OCD, and a great Howie Mandel quote is, "On stage is the only place I'm comfortable. On
Yeah.
stage is the only place I'm truly happy."
Mm,
That sort of thing.
mm.
Is that something you can agree with? Because when you perform, like even if you're going through something, you know, it's just like you have to be there. And
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's the only place that I'm happy, but because I'm happy off stage too, for the
yes, yeah,
most
of
part.
course.
But I I think I'd say being on stage is where I feel the most like myself. You know? Um, yeah.
No, no, that's a great answer. And when you use music as an escape, it can, it also teaches you a lot about yourself too. Like
Mhm.
I'm sure music gotten you through those tough times. That being said, has, music changed the way you understand human emotions and relationships with people in general, you think?
I think so, and directly and indirectly. Like, and what I mean by that is that, like, um, for example, like when I was a kid, growing up playing piano, I mean, a big part of the music that I loved was like when I would be in like seventh grade and like I'd have like a girl over to my house for the first time, and I just want her to like kiss me or something. That was it, and I'd be like, what can I play that will make her like sound romantic? So like Errol Garner's music, just I wanted to sound like that, and so much of that music, I don't know, that was like, but anyway, so like years past, I'm obsessed with the pianist Ahmad Jamal. And so I loved all these romantic tunes growing up. And I remember thinking for a long time, like, I'm a romantic guy because of that. And I remember like dating and I'd say, like, well, I like this girl, but it doesn't feel like guitars or whatever the lyrics are, and I'm like, these lyrics are like, and I remember I was dating somebody for a while and it it I started to get kind of turned off to the songs that I loved because it didn't really feel. I was like, well, I'm in love, and but it doesn't feel like these lyrics. So these lyrics are BS. And then I thought, wait a sec, these lyrics and these songs have like been like the love of my life, and I don't feel them anymore because of this person. So I remember reaching out to Ahmad, who I was lucky to know, and I said something like basically what I just told you, and he and he said. You need to sit and be quiet and think if she's a muse or a distraction. Just ask yourself that over and over. And we broke up the next day. And then that like changed my life because then it starts making me wonder, like, wait, why am I doing this? Am I on Facebook right now to distract myself from something else? Or like, a lot of these like musical things or musical people have brought like a lot of clarity to
No, that's
out.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's talk about Ahmad Jamal for a second because
Mhm.
the first time I heard Ahmad Jamal, just to put you in a, give you the first
Make
time
me
I heard
jealous.
what?
Make me jealous.
No, well, no, let me the
Just
first
kidding.
time I heard him was playing Stolen Moments and the way he played these these chords like and just played outside of the key and everything and with these like I was like, whoa.
Mm,
What
yeah.
was the first time you heard Ahmad that
Oh,
something happened?
yeah. So I remember I heard him play the song Like Someone in Love. It's from the Live at the Black Hawk album.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, but and I remember it wasn't even, and I wish I was like closer to my piano or something, but like, there's one part of the melody that's like do do just those two notes. And he went like do 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 do, and I thought it was the coolest
Are you talking
thing.
about when he's like da 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 in the beginning? Those that part?
No, it's I don't know. I'm at my piano, but I don't think it can for some reason it's not like sounding. Let's see. It's like, can you hear this?
I can't hear it. I
I
wish
don't
I
know
could.
why it's not. I'm wearing these earbuds. It's not.
No, but when you mentioned Ahmad and I got chills when you talked about that recording. So
Oh, it's yeah, that was the one. And I just played it over and over and over again. Just that half second, honestly. But
is that
love him.
is that do you still go back to listen to his music for inspiration as much as you did then?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like honestly, like the stuff that was still my favorite stuff as a kid is still my favorite stuff, and I still listen to it a lot.
That's great.
Uh, yeah, what was interesting about his stuff, I thought just worth throwing out, is that a lot of when I first heard like his music, I didn't know a lot of the standards, and so I didn't know what was a melody and what was a solo. But but I would memorize the whole thing because everything was so melodic, and so you know what I mean? It was just so cool I love that part of what he does.
Yeah, and Joe, you have such a great outlook on music, and you have such a positive spirit that it's definitely it's something that people want to be around. But
Mm,
that being said,
nice. Yeah.
when we're in places like New York, that are so competitive and we can get
Mhm.
discouraged. Were you still able to hold on to that part of yourself, or was there ever a time where it was like, this is really difficult?
It was, oh, it's all, yeah, I think, yeah, it is difficult because I mean, it's both of those things because in one hand, it forced me to be myself more because I guess the difficult thing for me was that I love listening to a lot of kinds of jazz, but I don't love playing everything. And I think, and a
Which is
lot of,
totally fine.
yeah, I got to be honest and say that. And, and I do feel like the things that I like to play, some musicians think, oh, he's just playing the blues or it's like an old school thing or something. And, you know, to some people.
No,
And,
that's bullshit because that's the
totally.
problem with the if the people if jazz musicians opened up to the different dichotomies of
Mhm,
jazz and the different subgenres and realized that's part of it as opposed to something not to be looked negatively upon or that's not
mhm.
cool, it would be so much healthier.
Totally. Well, I think too, like, I mean, I remember like, I feel like a lot of the music these days, and it's not to put it down, it's just, I like I wouldn't bring a date if I was on a date I mean, I wouldn't bring a date anyway. I'm married now. But I mean, I mean, but I feel like there's like two kinds of jazz these days. There's like the jazz for musicians, and there's like the jazz for people. And I like the people thing. But like honestly, I think what's tricky is like the jazz that I grew up with that I love and that I really want to play. it almost feels like a different genre of music than some of the stuff that I hear because I'm not trying to be petty or to impress other musicians. I'm trying to play like a melodic solo that I wouldn't know if it's the melody or the solo, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that outlook, you're very lucky that you are able to hold on to that because, as we're coming up, we might get discouraged, or one teacher might make us want to look this way or that
Mm.
or that way or something. Um, you
But I
know,
was lucky to, or I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, 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 go on. What were you
Yeah.
saying?
I was really lucky in that the mentors the people who became my mentors had experienced the same thing. Like both Ramsey Lewis and Les McCann were like amazing pianists who made audiences really like Ramsey would often tell me this was what would happen to him. He would play a gig in Chicago. They would get and the audience would be like postmen and school teachers and they'd get like seven encores. And then the next day the review would come out and it'd be like they didn't play anything innovative. And he's like, what the?
Yeah, that's pretty heavy when you say that.
Yeah, I mean, Les told me, he said, but Les was often, he was kind of put down by a lot of the beboppers, and so was Ramsey. But on the other hand, they were like some of the most popular musicians of their day, and the beboppers who were putting them down, the audiences that were turned on to the beboppers' music were often only turned on to their music because they were introduced to it by something like a Ramsey or a Les.
I think Ramsey, you might know this, but I think Ramsey did like something with like like where he interviewed Kenny Kirkland and stuff, and
Oh, he had
it's
a bunch of shows. He was a
yeah.
radio broadcaster. He was an amazing interviewer. Yeah.
So it's
And he
like
loves everything.
he loves everything, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't play everything, and that's okay.
No, that this and as you've gotten older, has your you're married now, and you're in your career, you're doing it. Has your emotional approach to playing evolved as you've gotten older?
Yeah, man, another good question.
My goal is for every interview I do to someone say that's a good question.
Oh, you got it twice so far. Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think like for me, like a lot of when I'm just like my favorite thing to do, I love obviously playing gigs and stuff, but I love after the gig coming home to my piano and just playing like whatever for a while. And I think it's just I don't think my emotions have changed, but it's more just whatever's happened in my life is kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm playing, and that kind of helps inform it. Like this kid, I was teaching like a lesson a little while ago, and some kid said to me like, "Man, like I feel like feeling in your music." He's like in high school, and he's like, "I feel feeling in your music. Like, how do I get feeling?" And I was like, have you ever been dumped? And he was like, no. I was like, well, get dumped. Like, I don't know what to, like it's not, you can't make that. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, things like that, or like getting married is exciting, and and it's nice to afterward to feel like calm. And, just there's different things in my life that inform the music. So it's just, navigating that.
Yeah, and that's the problem too with technology. A lot of the younger kids and musicians aren't, it's all they're in front of their screens. I mean, not
Mm.
getting out there and playing in front of people, and they're missing out on the real world that will directly make their music have that human, component of it.
So I talked to like some kids in college today. I feel like we were so lucky because man, like I talked to this kid in college and they were asking me like advice about their brand. And I'm like, we didn't have that. We didn't have to think about that.
Yeah,
We
I
just
mean,
had,
we're
yeah,
lucky. We're lucky. I'm
we
telling you.
were really, really lucky. Yeah.
Um, you know, I'm kind of curious about this too because you maintain an active schedule as performing. What are you kind of exploring now on the piano? Any techniques or musical ideas you're experimenting with that have been exciting you?
Yeah, honestly, well, so I had the most amazing thing happen to me a couple months ago. I actually acquired Ramsey Lewis's Steinway, and I've never had a grand piano, or I never thought I'd be able to get a Steinway this young in life. So, and his instrument is just incredible, and I don't know, it's got this like it's kind of I'll get kind of emotional talking. It's like very powerful. It's got like this aura of positivity. He's had it since 1963 and like you can just feel it. And I just felt like, I love playing on the piano, but I once I got the piano, I was like, man, this is not just a gift. This is like a huge responsibility. You got to get like, so I've actually been really getting into just playing a lot of classical music lately, which I haven't been doing in years. And I've been really enjoying like Fauré. Do you know this composer? He has Fauré. He wrote all these songs that are they're class. I like all these classical song pieces that almost if you just wrote the chord changes out or something, it's like a song, like a pop song in a way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. It's when you take from like all the other styles and just play them, even if it's just for fun,
Mhm.
it gets in your fingers and it gets in your ear, and it's something not to be forgotten about.
Totally. Yeah. It's a special thing.
Yeah, you've been in this, journey for a very long time, and
Mm,
you've gotten a chance to play with, so many people at the, we talked about like these great venues and festivals that I mentioned.
mm.
At this point, no, today's November 21st, 2024. What does success mean to you as a jazz pianist at this moment?
It's another great question. It's difficult. I feel like sometimes it's difficult to define, but I mean, obviously it's difficult to define, but I mean, I know like I can't remember who told me this, but years ago someone said like take a gig for like one of three reasons. Like either you're gonna have fun, either it pays well, or like I forgot the third one. I'm forgetting it off. But I feel like if what is it? Pay or you're gonna learn something. Sorry.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like if I could play a gig that at least has one of those things, and I feel like there's sometimes when you'll play something and it doesn't feel right or whatever. Um, but you know, t it's hard to define success. Obviously, you want to like you need money to live, but that's not the reason you do this. Um,
If you do this because you need money, then yeah, that's another story.
totally. But like to me, at the end of like a really nice, great show or something, I feel better than I ever feel. It's just like this feeling of like fulfillment, and I don't know what it is, honestly, but I feel like that's the feeling you want.
Yeah, yeah, what you're talking about, I've heard even, Bruce Springsteen say after I play, the reason I
Mm,
play so much is I feel incredibly centered and, I know who I am, that sort of thing. And, that's enough to keep going.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, and it's I mean to me that's if that wasn't there, that would, that would make it that I mean, that's one of the big parts of it for sure. But it's hard to say exactly what success is, truthfully, because
Well, I
there
think success can also mean like if your younger self could see where you are now,
mm,
how would they feel about it? And
that's true.
if you went back to like, let's say when you were in high school and you looked at yourself now, do you think you'd be like, man, you've gotten to really do some things and I'm proud of older you?
Oh, that's a great way to put. Yeah, yeah, exact, 100%. I mean, to me,
Because
like,
we
yeah,
can kind of get like, we can say, oh, yes, humans were always going from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. But,
right.
recently you have to think, I've been thinking like, let the younger you look at where you are now and that changes things.
That's a great way to look. Yeah, I mean, my younger me would be like blown away, honestly. Like,
You would
I
be
mean,
proud, right?
oh, very like, man, just to like, even I said this sentence to you, I knew Ahmad Jamal. Like, are you kidding? My younger me would be like shocked, even if I got to see Ahmad in concert, you
Yeah,
know?
and we also we met at NYU, and at the time, when you mentioned like that, you kind of had this intuition, like I know who I am, I know the type of music that I want to play. Granted, we're at schools with, the school with such a wide scope of musicians. Was it hard to like still stick to that? Did you find yourself like ever like kind of creeping into like, oh, maybe I should be doing this or that? Like, or were you really like,
Oh yeah. No, honestly, I don't think I think I knew what I liked, but I think it wasn't until a lot of people were telling me things to do that didn't feel right that I realized that's not me.
yeah, I
Uh,
did one ensemble at NYU, and I was like, this is the worst. I won't mention what I'm like, I never want to play this music ever. This is just
mhm.
horrible. No
Oh,
offense.
yeah, no, I'd get like, to me, like it was really hard, like for me, I really wanted to sound like Errol Garden, not sound like I'm not copying, but I love his sound. And like, it's really hard to like figure out how to do all those block chords and, all that stuff. And at school, I would often get people saying like, well, it's, Errol, Errol never played it like that in seven. And I'm like, but it doesn't sound good in seven. Like,
Oh,
it's the
yeah, yeah.
this yeah, it's I sorry, I lost my train of thought, but
No, no, it's all good. But you mentioned Earl Gardner, you mentioned block chords. You also you just acquired this piano of Ramsey Lewis. If your instrument, if the piano could talk to you, how would it describe your relationship with it?
I hope that it would say that I'm very loving and I like to play the keys with it, hopefully with a nice touch and make it feel good. I would, you know, uh and this piano specifically, I don't know if it would ever will ever prefer me to its previous owner, but I hope it's happy when I sit down and play. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, and you with the music you play, there's such a vibe to it, and it's got to have this really strong rhythm and flow, and
Mm,
it has to have a blues feel. It's a bluesy type of music, you can't.
yeah.
And do you have like that's what I'm playing the blues is like something else. So before you go on stage, do you kind of like maybe tell yourself a mantra or think about one of your favorite musicians? Like what happens before you go on
Mm.
stage?
Yeah, I try to just be quiet and like not be thinking it. Like if I can meditate or something, if I
Yeah.
get the opportunity, I would do that. I like to just kind of walk on with a clear head, you know.
Yeah, I
Uh
have the best gigs when I can just leave the room and then just like go right to the instrument.
yeah. Yeah. Like I saw there's some I forgot who posted it. Someone posted something the other day about talking to the audience if it's part of the gig or if and to me like I love talking to the audience after the show.
After.
But before is hard for me because
No,
yeah.
I love it. No, you need to be centered.
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't need a break afterward, but I definitely need a few minutes before.
No, I love it. And if you could perform for any audience, past, present, or even fictional, who would you perform for, you think?
Good. Yeah. I like am really fascinated by this era in Chicago, like in the 60s. There's a club called the London House, and like Ramsey got to start playing opposite Oscar Peterson there. So like you'd go there and you'd see four sets of Oscar Peterson, Ramsey Lewis in one night. And like I'll share this with you because it's kind of interesting. But one of the first times I met Ahmad, he came to see me at the Blue Note. And he was sitting right up front, and it's scary, like he's looking at you, and I heard his wife say, Ahmad, eat. And he stared at me and I hear him say, I'm busy. And he's like, and I was nervous. I had no idea how to approach that. And luckily I figured it out afterward, and I was ready when I met Les McCann. And shortly after Les and I became buddies, I told Les this story about playing in front of Ahmad, and he said that he had been playing his first big gig in Chicago at the London House place, what I was just mentioned, and he was about my age, and he's about to walk on stage, all excited, and in walks Oscar Peterson. So similarly, he freaked out, and he said he went over to Oscar's table, and he was like, "Oscar, I love you, but I can't play in front of you." And he said Oscar said something that changed his life. Back to him, he said, Les, I didn't come here to hear me. I came here to hear you. And that kind of made him feel like it's okay to be himself from then on. And I just love that. But like, that era in Chicago, I would love to have the opportunity to play for that crowd because I know that I mean they're coming to see stuff that obviously I love. They must you know.
No, so where do and you're self-assured, you know what the music it means to you, and you know what you want to play. You have the technique and and every and the drive to keep going. Where do you think you see yourself in, like, let's say, 10, 15 years from now?
It's a
What
really
do you
good,
hope to see?
yeah. I to me, my favorite thing is playing piano trio. It really, really is. And I wanted, I love exactly what I mean. I feel so lucky because a lot of the gigs, I basically just get to play what I want to play. And so I love that. I just want to do more of that or for more people. I feel like there is, uh, I've been really kind of playing around with like a Fender Rhodes. So I wouldn't be shocked if in like,
Have
you
you played in
know,
Savannah? Have you played in Savannah at this? I went to Savannah like for the first time in like June. They have a club there. I'm not sure the name of it though. It's like the only
oh,
jazz club in Savannah.
it just closed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. But they have two great festivals down there. There's the Savannah Jazz Festival and the Savannah Music Festival. And I played the
Right.
music festival.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. I love Savannah. There's got a lot going on down there, except for the jazz club.
Yeah, no, I was like, because you're down there. I was like, I wonder if Joe's played here, you know?
Oh yeah. There's another club you should look into in Hilton Head. It's called the Jazz Corner. That's an amazing club. It's not far from Savannah.
Yeah, because they're both like you could fly into the same airport, I think.
It is, yeah. It's like the Savannah slash Hilton Head Airport. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great one.
Joe, this is great. Before we wrap up, I have one more thing I wanted to ask you. Um,
Yeah.
um, if you could put into words what aspects of yourself can only emerge when you're performing, because the performing gives us something we can't get anywhere else. It's not
Mm,
about the money when you first start, but it just gives us something. What do you think?
yeah.
What do you think it gives you that, if you could put into words?
It just gives me in a weird way. Like I remember one time, like Les, he said to me, "Why do you do this?" And I was like, "What do you?" I was trying to. I knew he was getting at something, and I was like, "What are you getting at?" And he goes, "You don't do this because it's fun, although it is fun. You do this because it's you, and where else can you be you?"
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it gives me that great feeling when I get off the stage, but I don't know, I just really feel like myself up there. And I don't know if I didn't have this where I would feel that way, you know?
No, that's beautiful. Where can people find you? Website, social media, and that stuff.
Oh yeah, well I'm on all the I mean, I don't know if I'm on all of the social
You're
medias.
not on
There's a lot of them.
MySpace.
I've gone for MySpace. I don't know if you but I'm just Joe Alterman there. My website's just joealtermanmusic.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Joe, it's a pleasure to see you.
It's so good to see you. Sorry, wait, where do you live now? Are
Oh,
you in
I'm
New
in
Jersey?
Jersey. I'm in
Yeah,
Jersey.
okay. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. Well, I'll let you know next time I'm up. It would be great to get together or hang out or just,
Definitely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, man.